What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Age of Quarantine. My name is Chris Enriquez. I play drums in the band Spotlights, and I also work at Revolver Magazine. My very good friends at St. Vitus Bar, which is my second home away from home, have allowed me to start a web series every night here, Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, called Age of Quarantine. And tonight is my one of my favorite guests. I don't want to say she's my favorite, but it's a special one because back when I started, when I was growing up and starting to discover music, is when I met Veronica Bellino, the drummer of Life of Agony. We met in Long Island. We were teenagers, and we were playing shows at teen centers, and she has gone on to do such amazing things with her career as a drummer, including this record that you hear in the background, which is the latest Life of Agony record, Sound of Scars. Life of Agony played an amazing show at St. Vitus, which I believe there's some footage on YouTube for you to check out if you haven't seen it. They're also one of the most important bands from Brooklyn, where St. Vitus is based. Life of Agony has really not gotten the credit they deserve for starting a lot of what I think today is now, call it active rock. You could call it, I hate the word new metal, but they were around so long ago doing this, heavy sound that was a mix of so many different styles. And anyway, I think that their music has stood the test of time, and that's why people still give a shit about Life of Agony, and their shows are packed out and they're still putting out records. And Veronica is an amazing addition to the band. She's really helped them kind of take their sound in a different place. Her drumming has really, she's played with everyone, which we'll get into when she joins us, but she's played with everybody from Jeff Beck to LL Cool J to DMC. And if you watch any of her videos, of her drumming videos online, you know what I'm talking about. She's got the skills of Tommy Lee. She's got the chops of Neil Peart, and she's got a swagger that, some of it I think you can kind of see some hip hop, some of it you could see some prog rock. She just does it all. So I'm just waiting for her to join me, and I do have a special cameo guest that's going to be joining to send her a message at some point. Of course, it will be on the screen because we are social. In the meantime, while we're waiting for her to join, 1 second while I just tell folks that I'm in the middle of an episode. Yes. So St. Vitus has started a Kickstarter. It's going really well. You guys have donated so much money to help out the establishment continue, and it's still live. So anything you can do during this tough time to donate is greatly appreciated. You guys are amazing, and it looks like my guest has arrived. So let's get her in here. Screen in just 1 second.
Yay!
There she is. What's up?
What's up, Chris?
I'm the one that's going to give you a round of applause since we have to do these web series talk shows virtually. So.
Oh, yeah, I know. And it's crazy. Everyone's doing videos. So, your thing came up, and then I went to click on it, and then another one came down over it, someone else's video, and I was like, oh, I couldn't get into yours. So, and then I was waiting for the drop down again, and it wasn't. I don't know if it happens again. So I figured out how to get in from the profile. So, yeah, here I am.
All that matters is that you're here.
Yep.
So I was just playing your latest record, The Sound of Scars, in the background, and giving a little intro of who you are, how we met, and all that. Before we dive into it, though, how have you been handling this entire situation?
Okay. Hanging in there, just staying healthy, staying away from that Rona. And
Yeah.
just trying to stay away from the Rona. I've been seeing family when I can. Just in the house every day, cooking like 2 to 3 meals a day, barely doing takeout or anything like that. I actually did takeout like 3 days ago, just out of desperation. So it's like I cannot like motivate myself to cook anything right now, and I was starving. So I just ordered from a place around here for the first time in like a month. And I was like, oh my God, it's like I didn't even care if it was good or not. I just needed to eat something like not cooked by me. But
No, I see you.
I'm a good cook though. Like I'm a good cook, but just every single day, it's like too much now.
Yeah, yeah. This is quite a time, man. Like the last thing I did was thankfully play drums, and that's the
Yeah.
last time I left the house to go somewhere, and that was a month. Starting tomorrow would have been a month since that last time I was out of the house doing that. So I hope you have a drum set at home. I'm assuming you do.
Yeah, yeah. I just set up my basement actually. I'm working on a studio down there, so I just set my kit up last week and putting the foam up on the wall. So I did a video recently actually. Just put one up just for fun, just a little quarantine challenge to an Eminem song actually.
I saw that. That was
So,
amazing.
as a drummer, I'm sure you could appreciate it because like what he does in that verse, it's crazy. It's like all 30-second notes, but he accents the lyrics in a way where it's almost like a snare drummer would,
Right,
so that
right.
this could be cool to do like a drum solo to this verse and accent his accents and do like a whole little solo over it. So yeah, it took a couple days. I literally did it like measure by measure, working on it. It was something to do. It was fun. It was like my first video I've done in a while, at home. So it was cool. It was fun.
Yeah, I love that, and that's one of the things that makes Eminem and just any rapper that's good, so
Yeah,
worthy of the praise because it's a percussive thing. Like
totally, totally.
the idea of rapping more so than rock music or any other kind of music where you're singing. Hip hop is so percussive, and we'll get into your hip hop, the part of your career where you were playing with some famous rappers. But before we go there, let me just let everyone know watching. There's a question mark in a box on the bottom of the screen. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, it's easier for me to take those questions if you use the question mark box. So I'll once in a while I'll stop and take those. Let's talk about positive stuff. Let's
Yeah.
talk about your humble beginnings. Where 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 are you originally from?
Well, I was born in West Hempstead, Long Island, but grew up mostly in Port Washington, New York. It's North Shore of Long Island, and not so far from you, my friend. We kind of came up in the same scene, so I'm sure you experienced a lot what I experienced. We went to the same kind of shows locally. Teen Center, aka the Landmark in Port Washington, which had I played there. I'm sure you played there, and plenty of other bands that we've seen from neighboring towns and Queens and all these places. So yeah, just starting on guitar when I was around 11, and then got into the drums later on, and just played in bands through high school. And you were very looked up to. I gotta say, like a lot of myself included. I mean, I have a lot of drummer friends that when we heard your band was playing in town, we were like, man, Enriquez is playing, man, it's fucking awesome. We gotta go. Like a lot of people like looked up to you, man. Like not even blowing smoke. True.
Thanks.
You're still. I mean, you're a great player. Great fucking player. Always
Thanks.
appreciate you.
That means so much to me because when I found out that you were doing what you were doing, and I have to remember, I think that when I came across the fact that you were pretty successful as a drummer, it might have been when I started working at Revolver and then went out to the West Coast, which I know is where we saw each other.
Yes.
Right, right. That was about I started working at Revolver and in the music industry in 2014. So I think it was around that time that I found out that you were doing some pretty special things. Um, but when you started playing, let me ask you, how did you end up with drums, and who were your favorite players?
Uh, how did I end up with drums? I think just going over friends' houses and watching them play and trying to jam with them. Like I said, I started on guitar, so I would learn some Nirvana songs and Beatles and things like that, and go over friends' houses and try to jam. But it was not too successful at the time. Just very young and learning, and some of my friends had drum sets at their house, so I would go over and just try to jam on the drum set for fun, and I could play right away. Just beat, immediately. Just kind of knew how to work it. And I think I want to say I was around 10, 11, 12 at the time. And just from there, just kind of found myself like really, I don't know, like honing in on drumming, and just found myself tapping on things and wanting to really play more. And took some lessons for a couple of years, and then went off and taught myself, and then took lessons again on and off, and joined bands playing drums, and just kind of became this thing, just climbing up the ladder, so to speak, and playing in bands, and then playing local shows, and then kind of branching out, and then doing a little touring, and playing with some more renowned players later on. Just
Yeah.
networking and building yourself up in the community, and just getting out there as much as I could. So that's kind of how it started. Just listening to music, loving music, and wanting to be a part of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the New York scene, even in Long Island, especially where you and I are from, because it wasn't too far from the city, we had
Yeah.
some really good access to.
Yeah.
We had things at our fingertips. One of the things I love about St. Vitus and doing this on their channel is that I feel like the venue really filled a gap in New York, which I know you had left for a while, you're back, but when we were younger, we had obviously CBGBs, goes without saying, and
Right.
other spots. I know you and I met at teen centers, but what were some of the venues? And let's just make it a loaded question. What were some of the venues in New York and the bands, whether they were local or non-local, that you remember having an impact on you?
Yeah, there was a spot called the Voodoo Lounge. I think it was in Little Neck or Queens. Do you remember that place?
I do. I went
Yeah,
to lounge. That
it
was
was a fun place, and I was so bummed that it closed down. But this is a long time ago. But I remember attending shows there, playing shows there. Uh, I was in a band. My main band that I was in, where I really started playing shows around, was called Chaos in Candyland.
I remember that.
You
Yeah.
remember that band? Yeah, we
Yeah.
went through a few members over the years, but yeah, it's very close to my heart, that band. It was my first real experience with playing live, and being on like a bill, and playing in front of an audience, and getting that whole vibe and feeling the vibration of the crowd, and I was a very different player, I guess, back then, because I was way more nervous. I didn't really want to face the crowd at all. I didn't want to look at them. I didn't want to know they were there. I just wanted to play the song as properly as I could, just being nervous, and kind of get through it. But then I adapted, and I tried to learn how to be in front of people and perform, and not just play.
Right, right. What were the drummers that you were really inspired by when you were getting started?
Igor Caballera, for sure.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Sepultura. David Silveria from Korn.
Yeah.
Loved him. Carter Beauford, Dave Matthews Band. Loved his style. Dave Weckl, I was into a lot. Thomas Lang, those kind of guys. Let me think, who else? Virgil Donati. And then I ended up meeting him later on in life, and kind of becoming friendly and acquainted with him, which is cool. He's a very nice person. And Thomas Lang too. I actually ended up meeting him, doing like a little bucket jam with him at some drum event in LA a couple of years back, which was really cool. It's on YouTube. You can actually check it out.
Some
So,
wild shit. Yeah, I want to get to that point of your life where we
yeah.
how that started, because I know the answers to some of these questions, but for anyone out there, I want to kind of tell that story. I really wish you and I spoke about this kind of stuff back then, because everything you're saying makes a lot of sense now when I look at how your drumming style translates. And I was so into like, you know, John Bonham and Dave Grohl, and that was my thing. But your taste, I think, kind of spanned a little bit further out into some of the more techie side of things, but also, you know, aggressive, which is cool. Let's see. So after that initial band that you were in, like, we'll move along a little bit, I guess. But you know, I know the whole story about how you made a video and then it got discovered. But so is that how you ended up kind of getting put in touch with like famous musicians? Was Jeff Beck the first guy? You want to tell that story about how that happened?
Yeah, he was one of them. I guess it kind of starts, I think I was around 19 or maybe 19, 20, 21 years old, around that time. I think I was playing for Rob Balducci at the time, who's a guitar player from Queens. He was on Favored Nations Recording, which is Steve Vai's label. Just a like progressive prog rock instrumental, you know, not super techy, but just techy enough and groovy enough, you know, that kind of progressive metal. What the fuck, yo? This is Crazy Chris from New York City. I'm sorry, Miss. Crazy.
I don't know who that is.
Do you know that? Who's Crazy Chris?
I mean, he's obviously talking about me, but yes, I am.
Oh, no, you're Crazy Chris.
I guess I am.
His name is Chris too. Chris 102075. Anyway, yeah. So I was playing with this guy Rob, and I ended up doing a lot of cool tours with him. We went to England. We did a U.S. tour with David Weiner, another guitar player. Did a bunch of great shows with him. So around that time, I think I was playing with him. I met someone at a club, long story short, that told me that Carmine Appice was looking for some drummers for a drum show he was putting together. And Carmine is a legendary old school rock guy, played in Vanilla Fudge, Cactus. He was with Ozzy Osbourne for a while.
And his brother was Black Sabbath.
Yeah, that's right, Vinny.
Yeah, Vinny Appice.
Yeah.
So and Dio. I think he was in Dio.
Oh, he was in Dio too. I think that's right. So anyway, you know, total OG, and I was like, oh, that's pretty rad. I gotta submit somehow. And at the time, there was no iPhones or any of that stuff where it made it easy to just upload a video online. So, and YouTube was like very, very new. I think it was in its infancy. So to upload a video on there just kind of took a long time. So I just went to a studio one day. I rented out, you know, an hourly studio, made this video, didn't know what to do. And I sent it in, I submitted it for Carmine's group. It was called Slam. Carmine Appice's Slam was the name of the group. So I submitted the video, and I think I got an email back from one of the guys involved. It wasn't Carmine, but it was somebody like helping put the thing together. And he said, oh, you know, we were looking for a female drummer, but we couldn't, you know, find one in time. And so we filled all the slots with, you know, everybody that we have now. So maybe later on, you know, we'll look at you later. But thanks for submitting. I'll give it to Carmine anyway so he could see it, you know, keep in touch, whatever. I was like, oh, well, you know, I tried. So literally like the next day or so, I get a call on my cell phone, my Nextel phone. And it was Carmine. And he called me and he was like, yo. And I remember like, I pick up the phone, I didn't recognize the number. I'm like, hello. He's like, hey, it's Veronica. I'm like, yeah. Hey, how you doing? It's Carmine. like Carmine? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, well, saw your video. How the fuck did you get so fast, man? I was like, oh, okay. This is what's conversation's gonna be. So it was just very cool, very fun conversation with him. he wanted me to come down and jam, so I went down and I jammed. And long story, I ended up getting into the group and played a bunch of shows with them. So that was really a first kind of a major gig situation that I felt like, you know, I auditioned for and like I got it. You know,
It
it
was
was
really Carmine was the one that gave you your first shot.
I guess I want to say, yeah. It's he was one of the steps up. I think. But yeah, I think he did give me my first shot. He gave me a chance, and he didn't have to, which was really cool. So I know he really appreciated me and he wanted me in the group, and not just as like because I was a girl, but that he actually
Right.
thought I was a good player. I really appreciated. So that being said, that the video that I uploaded stayed on YouTube for a little while. It got a bunch of views, and just, you know, I was so interested in like what people thought, reading the comments, and there was some positive stuff, but then there's, you know, people like to put negative stuff, like they don't think it hurts anyone's feelings, like they just put up negative stuff and talk shit, and I was like, oh wow, okay. Mm.
Right. I feel
So
like
I got, huh?
it's always
Was
inevitable,
that?
right? It's
Of
always
course, of
inevitable.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that I know that now. Like at the time, it was it. I guess I took it a little more personal, but I kept the video up. I was almost gonna take it down. I was like, shit, man. Like maybe I should take this video down. You know, I'm kind of like bummed by this, but I didn't. I left it up. It was getting like a lot of views, so I know some people were liking it, and it wasn't because you know the video. It was really just a lot of choppy shit. It's still up on YouTube. You can find. It's like one
I
of the first.
actually watched it. I watched it last night.
Yeah, the sound is like horrible. You can barely hear like certain drum. Like it's a terrible video. It's not a good video at all. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
but I was
playing
so
very
intrigued.
fast. Huh?
I was so intrigued by the fact that like this video in your life would probably be considered legendary because of where it took you. It's amazing. It really is.
It's yeah, very significant. It's very significant, this video, and it's really crazy how things got connected. Um so like the video was just some choppy stuff, like not really much groove going on. I was really just doing like a free form thing to kind of, I guess I wanted to try to show off to impress Carmine, you know, and I guess it worked. So, but the video, I was thinking about taking it down, and literally the week of, like within a couple of days of me thinking this and decided to keep it up online, I get an email in my inbox, and I was working for my father like at the time, so I still needed like a full-time job. And it said message from Jeff Beck, and I was like, what the fuck? And I opened the email and it was like, hey, this is Jeff Beck's management. We found you on YouTube and wanted to reach out to you about doing some recording with Jeff. You know, he would like to speak to you. And I didn't know if it was real, honestly. I was like, yeah, okay, well, here's my number. Tell Jeff to call me just to
Right.
see if like it was real or not. And like 20 minutes later, I get a phone call from London, and it's fucking Jeff, like calling me.
That's
Unbelievable.
out of a movie.
Huh?
It's like out of a movie. It's amazing. I love it.
No, I know. And so we had a conversation, and he wanted to get together, and he wanted to write a new album, and he just wanted to find some new people to work with. And I was like, Jeff, like, I'm just curious, which video did you see that you were compelled to reach out to me? And he's like, this video you did, you were doing all this fast stuff and like all chops, and it looked so cool. And I was like, holy shit. Like I didn't say it, but I was like, in my head, I'm like, imagine I took that video down. This never would have happened.
Dude, that's unbelievable. And like, let's just stop for a second and acknowledge that Jeff Beck, like, he revolutionized like the guitar and rock and roll, along with like Eric Clapton. Like, we would not have like Guns N' Roses, or like, I mean, he was around before, possibly around the same time as Jimmy Page, if not beforehand. So like, that's just unbelievable. You know, I want to give a few shout outs to some people that are leaving comments, and we'll take a question.
Thank you, Viper. Thank you, Viper. I see that.
Yes, so we got Viper, Veronica's the Catalyst, LOA Needed, a savage distraction. Veronica is one of the best female drummers out there. Truly an inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
Very nice comments, and we'll take a question. All right, let's start with this one right now. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I got to flip that. Although, Veronica, I told you I did have a surprise, and
Yeah,
I'll
I
flip it
think
around
I
later.
might. I think it's maybe one of two people, but I'm not going to say yet. But
Well, we got a special guest.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. All right, so this is the question from Charlotte EEEC. Ask Veronica whatever happened to Chaos in Candyland.
Charlotte. Whatever happened? Well, let me see. That's a lot of history there. We went through some member changes, different singer, different bass player, keyboard is kind of coming and going. Keyboard is switching from keyboard to bass. Eventually, there was some, I guess, disagreements within the members of the band. People not getting along. It just didn't become fun anymore for us, I guess. And it just fell apart, just the band split. We weren't like on a label or anything. We weren't really that advanced as a band, but we were known in the local scene, I guess you would say. And it just didn't work out. I think I started a new band with, and this is actually another tie-in too, believe it or not. I started a new band that was called Silent Fate with my good friend Jamie, who played keyboards, and her boyfriend now is Jeff Cummings, who's in the band Sworn Enemy, and is actually how I met. Yeah, you know Jeff?
I have a friend that did a music video for Sworn Enemy, and I used to see them in high school quite a bit. So I don't know him personally, but yes, I'm familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. So he used to do guitar teching for Joey Z from in Life of Agony.
Yeah.
So that's how I met Joey, was through him. So
that's amazing.
If you think about it, from Chaos and Candyland kind of splitting, me moving on to this other band with Jamie, and she wasn't dating Jeff like right away. This was years later. I think Silent Fate didn't last very long either. I mean, Jamie and I had left, and I think they kind of reformed as well with some other members. So later Jamie ended up dating Jeff, and just hanging out and becoming friends. I think we went to NAMM together, and Joey happened to be at NAMM that year, and Jeff was meeting up with him and was like, yeah, we're gonna meet up with my boy Joey, I'll introduce you. And I was like, cool. And that's how Joey and I met. I want to say back in like 2010, circa, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that at some point, because I want to get into the entire LOA, how we got there. But by the way, it's so funny because I met everyone in Life of Agony right before you joined. So when you joined, I was like fucking so stoked. Like I met them at a award show where I booked Life of Agony at the Revolver Awards in New York City to come present an award. And you had joined like maybe a few months later. I was like, holy shit, that's fucking crazy. But before we get there, and there are people out there saying, hey, Doyle, who's the best female drummer? And then someone else said, where's Doyle? I don't know. We'll see if he's around. Anyway, so let's go back though before we get into Life of Agony. So Jeff Beck situation happens, and tell me about that. You get the phone call, you realize it's him, and then what happens?
The phone call left off where he was gonna reach out to me about meeting up to talk about recording an album. I don't remember if we met up in New York or because we didn't end up meeting. It was some months after where we ended up meeting. I think I went to NAMM. It could have been that I want to say it could have been the same year I met Joey. I really don't remember. It could have been. It's within like a year or two. So I actually could have met Joey that same NAMM where I was there doing whatever, and then I ended up meeting Jeff for lunch at what's that like main hotel? Everybody say
at the Hilton?
No, not
Anaheim,
Los Angeles, like by La Cienega.
you talking about the Standard?
No. It's another one that like a lot of like Slash's guitars are in the hallway, and it's like
wait, don't say it. I stay there all the time. The Sunset Marquee.
Yes. Sunset Marquee.
Yeah.
I met him for lunch there. He was so nice. He was very, very sweet to me. I was so fucking nervous to like meet him. And I remember like going in the bathroom and I was like fucking freaking out. And he honestly made me feel so comfortable. He was very, very nice. Just the whole time. So he, I don't remember exactly what the conversation was. It was kind of a blur now, I guess, because I was like so like hyped up and nervous. But I think he wanted to tour that year. I think we jammed actually at a studio in LA also that same trip. But I didn't play with him that year. I ended up doing some studio stuff with him maybe the following year. And I only did 2 live shows with him. One was the Classic Rock Awards that was held in London in like 2012, I think. And then we played that was in 2011. And then we played the White House,
which is nuts.
White House in 2012 for President's Day. And I met President Obama.
Fuck.
That was like an amazing experience. Like I met everybody. Like Buddy Guy was there, B.B. King was there, Mick Jagger was there. Gary Clark Jr. was there, Kev Mo. It was a blues theme, so it was all these blues music.
Unbelievable.
It was unreal. It was like unreal. And I remember Obama came down during our rehearsal because we had to go there the day before to rehearse at the White House to like prepare and get the cues right for coming out and everything. And he comes down. I'll never forget this. He was wearing jeans and socks with sandals.
What?
I swear. And
are you fucking kidding me? Jesus.
Not even kidding you. And I don't know why, I just like looked down at his feet and he's wearing socks and sandals. Like they could have been Crocs. I don't know, but
that is so sick.
It was so sick. And I get off the stage from rehearsal and I go and I shake his hand and he's like, how you doing? He's like, looks like you got quite a workout there. And I was like,
oh man. What's the rehearsal space like in the White House?
It was a small room, not a huge stage. It's actually on YouTube. You can find it. We did the song called "Brush with the Blues." Excuse me, felt the sneeze coming on. No Rona. Yeah, I think it's still up on YouTube. You can search Jeff Beck, Brush with the Blues. I think the theme was Red, White, and Blues. That was like the event, blues theme, and it was President's Day, Red, White, and Blues. So you can probably find that on YouTube if you wanted to check that out, or anybody tuning in if they wanted to. What's up, Charlie? Damn. Thanks for coming in, man. Johanna's in the house. Dylan, the drummer, is in the house.
Hell yeah.
Sexy. DJ Charlie Chan. He's Run DMC's DJ, and he plays with me in the Hellraisers with DMC also. He's a fucking legend, man.
Oh, shit. What's up, DJ Charlie? Shout out.
Yeah.
And guys, if you're just tuning in, the question mark box in the bottom is how you submit questions, and all of the episodes, including this one, if you're just tuning in and you missed the first half, are going to be available on my YouTube channel starting tomorrow. It is Christopher Enriquez. That's my name. So all you have to do is look that up and you'll see all of these episodes. This is like episode 20 something, which is fucking crazy. And yeah, so now we're at the point in your career, which is you're playing with Jeff Beck, which is like obviously a big deal, but you're kind of just getting started. What was next? Because you have a whole list of stuff. where it's like DMC, LL Cool J.
Yeah. My brother's in the house. I'm just gonna shout out a couple people. Bellino Mar, that's my little brother. Charlie, I miss you too, brother. Tim in the house, 666 Dressed to Kill. Tim Brackett in the house used to drive me around in his Jeep when I had no car or no license.
Hell yeah. We got, well, I said I was going to say this early, but Long Island's in the house. That's what's up.
Long Island, definitely in the house. Definitely in the house.
Yo.
Just taking some time to say what's up. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This is cool. I never done anything like, I never do like live stuff, you know, Instagram live, Facebook live, not often, but
no, this is important now because this is how we're entertaining people, you know.
Yeah, totally.
Hey, Nikki, the kid, we'll make sure that we get to that question once we start getting it more into Life of Agony. I promise I won't forget. But I'm just kind of going in order of Veronica's career, and then we'll start getting into all the Life of Agony stuff.
My parents are here. Mom, Dad, and I are here too. Hello, hi family. Okay, so yeah. The Jeff thing. So we did the White House and oh man, it was so spread out too. It wasn't like one after the other. It was very spread out. Like months would go by before we would like do anything else. There was one time where we were in the studio a lot, recording, and I remember asking his manager, I was like, what's the deal with the studio? Should I be prepared with anything? Should I, know anything? He's like, no, just totally blank. Just we're gonna come in and like figure stuff out as we go, record as we go. And I was like, okay, cool. And literally that's what it was. Like there were times where we'd be in the control room and the engineer would just press record and Jeff would do some noodling on the guitar and for like 5 minutes, and then we go back and listen. Hi from New Jersey. We go back and listen and like just see what pieces of genius were in there to use for a song, and then things got pieced together. So that was a while ago, and nothing ended up getting released till around March 2015. He released an album called Live in Tokyo. I'm not on the live album, but there's 2 bonus tracks on there from when we were recording in the studio. One is called Tribal. It's just called Tribal. And the other song is My Tiled White Floor, which I'm actually singing on as well. So I'm drumming on both songs, and that song I'm singing on too. And they were both released. You can find them, I'm sure, on Apple, iTunes, or YouTube, or
Spotify, or YouTube. Yeah.
Actually, yeah. So I was psyched to see something get released because, we did a lot of work in the studio, and then things kind of just drifted off and nothing happened for like a year. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess maybe he's not calling me anymore. So I'll see what else is going on.
Yeah, even as a musician, when you get cool opportunities, it's still a hustle. People forget that because like you could get like one gig and then not know when it's happening again, and that's the cool thing about being in a band, which we'll get to, is at least when you're in a band, there's more of like a kind of a standard thing that happens. I mean, every band is different, but when you're kind of a drummer for hire, it can get kind of scary when you don't know what the next job is.
It's so true. It's so true, man. And I was totally in a rut right before the Life of Agony thing happened. I was really, I don't want to say I was kind of down in the dumps, but I was doing the for hire thing for a while, and doing tours, not doing tours, getting gigs, not getting gigs, doing some commercials, doing auditions, getting this, not getting that. Great things happen. But after a while, I was like, man, I really wish I can like get something more consistent, like just a band of my own, or join a band that's already established, that has things going on, where I don't have to think like, is this going to be the only tour I do, or am I going to have to find something else after this? And
right, so I have to go work like a music store in between this and the next thing. That was the thing, but Yeah, and it's funny, like when you say that, it reminds me of like Taylor Hawkins, who is a fantastic drummer from the Foo Fighters. He was playing with Alanis Morissette, and I remember reading an interview with him, and it was like he just really wanted to be in a band. Being a drummer for hire for successful musicians was cool, but there's something about being in a band that's just way different.
Yeah.
Well, so take me through the next few things. So was the next one DMC or LL Cool J, or am I missing something?
Actually, LL Cool J was kind of before and during Jeff, but let me make it clear that I didn't play drums for LL Cool J. I was signed in a band. I was in a band that was signed to LL Cool J. He had a label that he had owned, and he signed the band. He had a deal with the two main writers in the band, the guitar player and the singer. And then they were looking for other band members to complete like the band, because at the time it was just two guys. And they actually got discovered at Louis' Diner in Manhasset.
Holy shit.
Believe it or not, he was the one guy who was a waiter. And LL came in the diner, and someone had given him a demo of the music that he's been doing, and he called the diner and was like, yo, who just gave me that demo tape? Like, I want to talk to him. And they got this guy named Dave, who was a waiter there and was a friend of the guys. And it was it's like, imagine getting that call. It's like, Dave, LL Cool J is on the phone for you. And he gets on the phone, and he wanted to set up a meeting with the guys, and he signed them. He signed them as writers and as artists. And later they got some band members, myself included, as the drummer and bass player and a DJ, and it was like a hip hop rock. It had a very like Gym Class Heroes kind of a vibe, like that sound, like acoustic guitar with hip hop rock drums, and a singer who kind of rapped a little, but he also knew how to sing. So it was cool. It was a cool vibe, and really fun for me to play, and I really enjoyed it. Hey, what's up, Alan?
Yeah, and I love the thing about hip hop too, which is always fun as a drummer, is that it's got a hop to it and a swing, like a bounce to it, that like doesn't always end up being the case when you're playing rock music. Obviously it's a vague thing, but I that's got to be fun to jump from what you were doing to something like that.
Yeah, you know what? I gotta address this. So my old friend Tim just mentioned something actually very important. So that band Chaos and Candyland that I talked about was one of my first bands. Tim was actually the one who drove me to Tower Records the day I found out they were looking for a drummer. We were driving to Tower Records, and I was looking through drum magazines, and like an ad fell out. Like, I picked up the magazine, and like an ad fell out. And literally every band I was listening to, like, they listed, they're like, oh, drummer wanted, huge thing on this blank white paper was typed out. That's what people did in those days. They put out flyers and actually made hard copies of things. And so it was like, yeah, influences, Deftones, Korn, Limp Bizkit, Sepultura, this and that. I was like, I gotta call these guys.
Oh,
and
man.
Called them and went for an audition, and that's how I started playing in Chaos and Candyland. That was like my first band, and then from there, parlayed into other bands, and then meeting Jeff, led me to Joey, which everything is just kind of like the roots were taking form, and the branch were branching into different parts of my life and career, and taking me to different people and different relationships. So yeah, like Tim, I always tell that story to people, man. So it's like, you really had a lot to do with that. So I gotta just shout that out, man. We were pretty tight back in the day. Me and Tim, we used to do a lot of fun stuff, a lot of bad things too. But
I got to tell you too, I feel a kinship, because having stuck around so long, I mean, as two drummers, I really believe, I read a comment earlier that said something about being in the right place at the right time. And I don't know if I necessarily believe that as much as I just think if you're a good person and you're talented and you stick around long enough and you don't stop, shit will fucking pop off at some point. And I just feel like that's really true.
Yeah.
I got also mention this, which sucks, but the way the Instagram thing works is it kicks you off once you hit
Okay.
the 1 hour mark. So if that happens, we could start over again if we don't cover everything.
Okay.
But yeah. Okay. So after that experience, is that right before you ended up playing with DMC?
With the Jeff Beck experience?
No. After you started playing with the group that you mentioned getting hooked.
Oh, yeah. The LL Cool. Yeah, that band was called 13. The number 13. You might actually find some stuff on YouTube. Also, we did a commercial for LL's clothing line. Which was we did like a music video and like a special song for that. And that is actually what led to the DMC thing, because that band was that was pretty rough. Great music. I mean, everybody was very talented in the group, and I don't want to like talk shit or anything, but there were some issues between like the main guys, and some substance stuff going on, and things that just messed with people's heads, and it's hard enough to actually get signed and get yourself to a level, but it's almost harder like staying together once you get there and staying in a frame of mind and staying focused. So that's kind of what led to the fall of that band, because I really thought we were gonna like go places. I was really psyched. I thought the music was great. It was so much fun to play. It was catchy, and it was fresh at the time. It was very fresh and new. Like it wasn't anybody out doing that kind of style really that was like super pop. I mean, there was, but nothing really like out there mainstream, I think.
Yeah.
So it was very exciting at the time, but unfortunately it didn't work out. And I ended up finding out, I think through someone in LL's camp, that DMC was looking for music for a solo thing that he wanted to do. And I ended up writing some songs, like writing some hooks and recording it with the main producer from 13, the main like songwriter. And we did a song called Attention Please that D actually really loved. We submitted it to him. At the time it was called Your Attention when I wrote it, but when he ended up cutting it, he changed the title to Attention Please, which is a lot cooler. So he ended up loving the hook, loved like the whole vibe of the song. So we recorded the song in LA in a studio, and my friend Paulie Perrette, who is an actress, she's on CBS. She was on NCIS. If anybody watches that show, she was like the goth lab girl. She's on that show for like years, and she's on a new show now called Broke that just started like 2 weeks ago. She's a singer too, and she ended up singing the hook that I wrote. So she was on the hook, DMC was on the verses, and the song was created. And then later he was like, yeah, I want to shoot a video for it too. And I'm like, but I want to have a band, I want to have a band play. And I was like, I play drums actually too, like, because he just knew that like I wrote the hook or whatever, because I play music too. I was like, I play drums. He's like, dope, let's do it. And shot the video in LA, and then he wanted to start playing live. And that's how Charlie, if you're still now, oh yeah, you are now. Charlie was Run DMC's DJ, and D brought him in to play with his band. At the time, it was just like DMC. It was DMC's thing, but now it's called DMC and the Hellraisers. We have an Instagram too. You guys could check it out, and we have some music that's gonna be released this year, I think. Hopefully, if everything goes well. Who knows in this crazy time we're in right now? But yeah, so that's kind of how that happened. Which is great.
Oh no, go ahead, please.
Oh, just gonna shout out. What's that?
I was gonna say I met the people you played with that you mentioned. I've had the pleasure of meeting, and LL Cool J, who he lived in Port Washington. Well, he lived in Manhasset, and he's such a nice guy. And on DMC, I met at Rock on the Range, because he came out and did a song with the band Pop Evil, I believe it was, and
Oh,
he was
yeah.
he's one of those guys where they're like, I think we interviewed DMC for Revolver, which for those of you watching, I work at Revolver magazine. That's my day job, and like a lot of rock stars that we would talk to, they're all nice, but like they're just kind of doing their press and leaving. But he like stood there and like talked shop with us fucking 20 minutes,
Amazing.
like off camera. So it's amazing. You find these people and they end up being really sweethearts. Before we end up on the because we're gonna lose each other in 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we could start over again. So I'll go live and then you'll rejoin me.
Okay.
I'll take a couple questions. I know we haven't got into the Life of Agony stuff yet, but I guess we'll go there. Okay, what's this? I'd like to know. Tattoo me sexy. I'd like to know if Joey is as hot in person as he is in pictures. Talking about Joey Z from Life of Agony.
I mean, he's probably better looking in person, I gotta say.
There you go. There's your answer. Let's take another question.
He looks great in down in life.
Well, since we're about to get to the point of Life of Agony, we can start going there. Nikki, the kid, asked earlier what your favorite song to play is with the band.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones that I like playing. I guess from like the old catalog, I gotta say, I really like playing Lost to 22. That's a great song. This Time I love playing. Probably out of those two. I mean, there's a lot of. They're all so much fun to play, man. They're all just so great and great beats and interesting tempo changes. But yeah, I don't know. I guess Lost to 22. I always enjoyed playing that one. A lot of cool change ups in it.
That's a good point, Veronica, about the time changes. And I don't know how many non-drummers are going to find this intriguing, but like, a lot of songs, they kind of stay on one pace and they might, you might have a halftime part and a fast part, but correct me if I'm wrong, they have actual tempo changes.
Oh yeah.
Down. Yeah, that's a challenge.
Runs Red. I mean, it's all over, but all over the place, but in a good way, in a cool way.
Right. Okay, so let me do this. Why don't we pop off?
Okay.
And then rejoin me so that we could get like a reset button and not get cut off while we're talking. So all guys, we're not going anywhere, guys. We're ending the session because we're going to get kicked off. And I want to have more time so we could continue talking with Veronica of Life of Agony about her career. And, of course, we're going to get into that part of her career. So just rejoin me in about 1 second here, guys. Thanks so much.
Okay.
We are going to start talking about Life of Agony, the legend. She'll be popping up on the screen any second now. And if you have any questions, use the question mark box on the bottom, and I will do my best to get you your question.
Hey.
Okay, so before we get into Life of Agony, is there anything else that you want to share about your time with DMC or anything in between that leading to LOA?
I think we pretty much covered everything. Yeah, the DMC, like I said, we're still going strong with DMC and the Hellraisers. That's our band name. We're on Instagram. You could request, you could follow us and see what's going on. But yeah, so whatever the next step is and moving on, we'll go there.
Okay, let's go there. Let's see. Actually, let's get this question out of the way. My friend Khadijah, Star Noir, what is your favorite food?
Man, I like so much food. It's got to be seafood. Seafood is my favorite food.
Nice. What's your favorite food like on tour when you're on the run?
Oh, I eat differently on tour depending where I am, but I tend to eat a lot lighter, like more fruits and like bananas and apples and vegetables if they have them in the dressing room. But it's hard to like really eat well and eat like heavy, because if you have, the show days, I don't like to eat too heavy because I don't want to feel so like heavy on stage and like full, and
That's a tough thing as a drummer, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get agita and start like whatever. So I eat pretty light on the road, but there are times where we have days off that we'll look for nice restaurants and see what's around, and we'll have nice steak dinner sometimes, or pasta or whatever we could find, seafood, any good shellfish places. Like we went to this cool spot in Boston once. They had like a whole seafood boil like in a bag with this garlic sauce, and thank God we had a day off the next day because it was not nice in the hotel room afterwards. So, but it was enjoyable at the time. So we try to enjoy ourselves and find nice restaurants to eat at when we can. But depending where you are, sometimes in Europe, it's like bread and more bread and, some kind of meat you're not sure about, and you just have to make do with what you can.
I'm sure, and we'll get into this later with the tour you did with Doyle, but I'm sure you had some dinners with Doyle. I had the pleasure of having a dinner with Doyle once where he was in the full makeup eating spaghetti and meatballs, and I snuck a picture in when he wasn't looking. I don't know if he appreciated that, but it was a really funny sight to see him eating with the whole thing on. Okay, Life of Agony.
Were they vegan meatballs? Were they vegan?
They were vegan. He was being filmed for a cooking show on his bus.
Oh.
And we were in Queens at it was when he was a solo thing, but it was at that place in Blackthorn 51. Yeah, that's where we were. Blackthorn 51. Yeah. Anyway, it's newer, and you've been gone for a while. I know you have been in LA for the past few years, but we'll talk about Doyle later on. We'll save him for a tough conversation towards the end. Okay, so tell me about how you joined Life of Agony.
So I explained earlier how Joey and I had met, which was through a friend, Jeff Cummings, who was in the band Sworn Enemy. And I met Joey at NAMM, and we just like hanging out at NAMM, having a couple of drinks, having a good time. Group of us just became kind of friendly, and we ended up keeping in touch after NAMM. And I actually went to his studio in Brooklyn and jammed with him. I think there were a couple other people there. I'm not really quite sure, but it was a while ago. But we did jam. We had a cool time. And I think he had come to a couple clinics, drum clinics that I was doing in Long Island. Just being cool, being a friend, and keeping in touch. And even when I moved to LA, we would just catch up on the phone once in a while. And then there was a time where we didn't really talk too much. And November 2017, I saw a missed call from him. And we haven't spoken in a while, so it was kind of like, I was like, oh, Joey Z, and this kind of like feeling had come over me, like there was some like meat and potatoes behind this call, like there was something, like it wasn't just a catch-up call, like I just had this feeling like something else was happening that he needed to talk to me about. And this was around the time where I was telling you I was doing all the for hire stuff and just, kind of feeling very drained from that, and wanting to move on to something a little more stable and continuous and more of like a family situation. So, anyway, moving on, after some phone tag, we got on the phone, and he was, after just catching up, whatever, he was telling me that things were, changing in Life of Agony, and they were probably going to move forward with a different drummer. And I was like, holy shit, is this why he's calling me? Is he just catching up to tell me about this, or is he actually going to ask me to like play with Life of Agony? And he started to like go there, and he was like, yeah, V, I thought of calling you like right away. I don't know if it's something you'd be interested in, or if you like, I don't know what you got going on, or if you da 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 da. And I'm like, Joe, can I say something? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, don't call anyone else. The answer is yes. Don't even call anyone else.
Fuck
Absolutely
yeah.
yes. He was like,
I'm
oh,
just,
I was hoping.
I'm just imagining the fucking New York accents just being thrown around back and forth. You know what I mean? It's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
like, Joe, don't call nobody, all right?
yeah. Hell yeah. Yo, for real though, like you probably at this point, because you just took me on a journey. Like you start out kind of like second guessing yourself, and like at this point, you kind of know when like someone's about to like proposition you, right? Like you have this feeling, like you were saying, you're like, all right, I think I know where this is going, which I love. That's amazing.
Before I spoke to him, I had the feeling. Like, just looking at his name on my phone, I had the feeling. Which was weird. It was really weird. And I told him that. I was like, Joe, I don't even know. Like, I can't even describe it. I just, like, knew, like, you were going to ask me that. I don't even know why, how I knew. It was, like, just this cosmic thing that I felt. And I was like, there's something behind, there's some meat behind this phone call. I must find out. So,
I
yeah,
mentioned
it was all,
the whole
I was
thing.
so, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying I mentioned earlier the whole thing about how I feel like the whole being in the right place, the right time thing. Maybe there's some truth to that, but I was saying I feel like it's also about being a good person, being talented, sticking around. Do you believe? This is a deep question, but like, do
Yeah.
you believe in fate, or what's your opinion on all that stuff?
Yeah, I think I do. Because just like I said, like going back and I saw in the comments Tim was like getting a little upset. Oh, there he is. Yeah, I've never had to second guess yourself ever. Thank you, my friend. Just from like going to Tower Records that one day and like a scene out of a movie, picking up a magazine and an ad falling out, and that was like the start of so many things. Like if I never went to Tower Records that day, or if I decided to do something else, or if I didn't pick up that specific magazine, I would probably not even be here right now. Maybe not even talking to you. I don't know. Like my life could have gone in a completely different direction. So I believe that. I believe that things, I don't know. I don't know if you're guided somehow in life to do certain things, or if there's some kind of magnetic force that you're following that just happens naturally through thought and manifestation or what. But there's definitely something more than just like a random free forming, like humans roaming the earth for no reason.
Yeah,
I don't know. I can't describe it really, but yeah, I'm sure you've experienced things yourself like that. It's
I
crazy.
yeah. I mean, it's you and I have gone on similar paths, but kind of different ones. I mean, I'm here to talk about you, but I'll tell you, like, you know, I don't know how much you know about my situation, but I went on tour with Deftones, and that was at a time. That was my first tour with my band Spotlights ever. So I
Yeah,
never played.
I think I saw that. I was like, was that like last year or the year before?
It was 2016, I believe, and to be honest with you, it was very
Yeah.
similar to your story with Jeff Beck, because I know when my band got the call that Chino wanted us to go out on the road, they thought it was a joke, and they almost didn't respond to it. They just thought they
Wow.
thought someone was fucking with us, and uh, you mentioned Korn. If the quarantine is over, my next tour is with Korn. I don't know if you knew that. So it's like
I
I'm
didn't
like
know
hoping.
that. That's
Yeah, I'm supposed to
that's
do my
impressive.
first stadium tour with Korn and Faith No More in
Oh,
August, and I have no idea what's going on now. So we'll see. But
oh,
but like,
God.
yeah, just like you though, I like when a lot of these things happened, I was like starting to feel really down. So I really think there's something to be said about sticking around. Tell me about how long were you playing with Life of Agony live before you got into the studio to write and record? Let's talk about the new record and the whole process involved with that.
Oh, that was yeah, not that was pretty much right after I was welcomed into the band, they were talking about recording a new record. So so let me see. That was 2017, the fall, where Joey and I had spoke on the phone, and then January 2018 was when I went. I was in New York. Actually, I was going to New York to be with family for a while from December for Christmas and whatever. And so it's like, yeah, let's get together and jam together. So I had met the whole band in January. We did a jam. We played like 5 songs, and when it was really cool, felt very natural. And the next day, I got woken up by a very awesome voicemail from the band welcoming me into the band, and it was just a great feeling. It was a wonderful feeling. I just felt, I don't know, I just felt like I was like glowing all over, and that was the start of it. And they said, yeah, we want to do a new record right away. So that I think we started writing and gathering ideas very soon after that, because let me think. The St. Vitus shows in April, those were the first shows, April 18th.
Oh, that was your with the band?
That was my first show with them, my very first show with them.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a 2-night thing. I think it was the 18th and 19th. So I was living in living in LA still at the time, so I was flying back and forth. So I'd fly to New York and like rehearse with them for a while, and then we would work on some new material, do shows or whatever we were doing. And that was kind of the pattern. Like I would fly in early, we would work together and do whatever touring or shows we're doing, and I'd go back and then we'd communicate on stuff, listen, and I had my studio in my apartment that I would work on music or work on drum parts and listen, and or do any little producing stuff or whatnot. So that whole year was basically writing, and then the following year, 2019, was when we started recording the record, and it came out in October 2019.
Yeah,
so
I love the record. The first time I saw you play with the band, I wish it was at Vitus. I actually missed those shows, but I saw you play at Bowery Ballroom, and that was phenomenal.
Oh yeah, fun show.
Yeah.
Fun.
Oh yeah, that's right. We took a picture together. I came up to you at the end.
Yeah.
And before that, I saw Life of Agony's first show with Mina when the transition happened in Brooklyn. I saw that show. So I've seen a lot of really cool LOA shows over the years, and I'm happy that I got to see those. So, dude, it was so cool to see you on stage. I know we're in front of a bunch of people, but there's something amazing about seeing someone that you knew in a different life, where you're just like, oh my God, that's so fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Like, and especially locally, Life of Agony, when you're from New York, is a bigger deal, I think.
Yeah.
So I'll take another question right now from, let's see who this is. Plague Luster. What are your biggest musical influences? They don't solely have to be metal.
Biggest musical influences, I would say Imogen Heap. If you guys are familiar with her, she's a female artist from the UK. She's freaking phenomenal. She writes and like produces all of her own stuff. Just really cool, awesome sounds, and just she writes songs in ways and produces them in ways I've never heard before, and it's just so inspiring. If you guys never heard of her, definitely check her out. Imogen Heap is her name. She's probably my favorite artist. What was the question? Favorite music?
No, biggest musical influences.
Yeah, she's influenced me big time. Well, I didn't really discover her till like kind of later, but when I first started playing music, I was really into Nirvana, so that's a big one too. Going back to like the 90s when I was first starting to learn music and finding out what music was about and how to play it, and how to just work around melodies and learning things, just singing along to Kurt Cobain and
both of us, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he was a big one. So.
Nikki the Kid, I think we answered that question earlier. I think you missed it, but I know you wanted to know what her favorite songs were. I think she mentioned, This Time, River Runs Red, and then there was another one.
Lost to 22. Yeah. Favorite LOA songs to play live, yeah.
All right, well, look, everybody keeps talking about Doyle, and Andrew Comber saw Life of Agony and Doyle in London last year. This is the most confusing episode of Hey Doyle I've ever seen, so might as well do this now. But so if you guys are not aware, Doyle, Wolfgang von Frankenstein from the Misfits, who does solo material, went on tour with Life of Agony, and Veronica had started a little thing online called Hey Doyle, where she would catch him by surprise. He would have just gotten off stage or be sitting somewhere, and she would ask him a question, and it would be an amazing joke. And sometimes he would get it, sometimes he wouldn't get it, but he regardless, it was always funny. Right.
He only got one joke out of 10. The last one he got, which was unbelievable. It was like the reaction we gave when he gave the answer to this joke was like we all won the lottery. It was like freaking tearing the roof off. It was hysterical. But Hey Doyle was.
This is going to be a little challenging for me, and I'm going to apologize to everybody if you can't hear it, because I have to use my computer to show you a video. But I did speak to our friend Doyle from the Misfits this afternoon. I think that he thought that I was trying to get him to join us and put on the makeup, which would have taken way too long.
Yeah.
And as you all know, he doesn't like to be on camera without his makeup. But I can assure you that this is him talking. You just can't see him. But I'm going to flip around, and I'm going to try to be as quiet as possible. Because guess what? Hey, Veronica, Doyle has a joke for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hey, Veronica. You know how the Fagawi Indian tribe got their name? Eh?
The Indian tribe?
They were lost one day, and the chief went up to the highest hill. He looked this way, he looked that way, and he said, "Where the Fagawi?"
I don't know if you got that. That's me doing my best. I did my best. I don't know if you heard that.
I heard it.
Yeah.
That was your voice?
No, that was his voice.
Doyle's voice?
That was Doyle's voice. He recorded that. He recorded that on his phone, and then he text messaged it to me to send to you. So there you go. Yeah, Doyle had a hard time figuring out if he had any jokes, and that was the only joke that he had. So that was a special one for you.
One time he actually asked me what the answer was to one of his jokes. Like, I don't even know if it was a joke. This wasn't filmed, by the way, but it should have been filmed because it was very funny. Is Doyle listening right now? Is he like in the house or no?
No. He just sent me that earlier, like a couple hours ago. Yeah.
But this is pretty funny. We were backstage, whatever, and usually I like, hey Doyle him, and so he like, hey Veronica me, but nobody filmed it. But he goes, hey Veronica, why is it that when you look up at the sky, it's called an asteroid, but when you look up, when you have something in your ass, it's a hemorrhoid or something like that. And I'm like, what's the answer? He's like, I'm asking you what the answer is. I don't know. And I was like, because this world is ass backwards. And he's like, that's it. That's the answer.
Oh,
holy
my
shit.
God.
He just made up a joke, and I like made up an answer, and like that was it.
You know,
it wasn't filmed though, but it should have been. It was pretty funny.
he's a gentle giant, and anyone that doesn't know that, he obviously looks a little intimidating at first, but I would say that out of every you know, I hate the word rock star. It's so dumb. But like, out of every like famous guy that I met in music through this whatever aggressive music world, Doyle is
Yeah.
easily the most humble and just like the fucking nicest dude. Um,
He really is.
on that
He's
tip,
sweet. Yeah.
yeah. On that tip, I will acknowledge what you guys are saying. We did
Oh
lose
yeah.
a punk rock today in New York. We lost Jimmy Webb from Trash and Vaudeville, and that was an important place in New York and for punk rock. And we're sending our love and condolences to his family from everyone here at St. Vitus. I can, you know, we'll switch gears for a second, then end off on a positive note. But I will share this. The first time you and I are both from New York, the first time I ever saw a punk rocker in my entire life in person, not on television, was when my parents took me to New York City, and I was driving down St. Mark's Street, and we passed Trash and Vaudeville, and I saw Jimmy Webb, who I later on realized was Jimmy Webb, the owner, and just like a bunch of punk rock people, like with the spikes and the belts and all that stuff. So do you remember the first time you saw like a bunch of freaks with like crazy looking hair? You know, is that a memory that sticks out to you?
Yeah. I can't remember like the first time, like the first moment that I've seen that, but yeah, I remember probably going to some shows when I was like 14 or something and seeing, you know, those kind of hardcore guys. But I know I remember Trash and Vaudeville too. I remember Jimmy was always a sweetheart, and it's very sad news to hear this today. Such a staple in New York City
Yeah.
and the East Village. I know Trash and Vaudeville had moved locations. I haven't been to the new location, but I remember them on St. Mark's Place, right? That's where the store
Yeah,
was.
they
Yeah,
was on St. Mark's and then they moved. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know where they moved, but I just always remember that store, walking up the steps, and then they had it downstairs. And Jimmy was the guy. I mean, he was just this bubbly dude. Like, he looked like a rock star, as you say, you know. But he
Yeah.
was just, yeah, he was just so into like the clothes and dressing you up and helping you out. And I didn't really know him. Like, I'm not gonna say I know him personally because I really didn't. I just know him from the store, you know, shopping there. But he was just such a sweetheart. I mean, it's very sad news to hear this today.
Absolutely. I didn't know him personally either. I think it was just more like when you see these guys, it's like they're part of New York City. Like
Yeah, oh,
how many
absolutely.
how many
Absolutely.
times have I seen this guy standing outside smoking a cigarette? You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
totally, totally. It's almost like a piece of New York has died, you know?
right. Well, I mean, with bands like Life of Agony, who are still around to this day and came from the early days, along with Biohazard. And by the way,
Yeah.
R.I.P. Pete Steele. I think this is the anniversary of his death. Um, I know we were seeing a lot of stuff on the internet, but you know, Life of Agony stuck around, managed to make it this far. We're all excited that you're in the band and you bring a lot of fresh dynamic, and in the songwriting you can hear it. It's a little different, and I think that's wonderful.
Thank you.
What can we in sort of our last few? I'm going to give it another 10 minutes here because we'll be on the hour and a half mark. It goes by so quick when you're having fun. But
Yeah. Wow.
ask you two questions. Did you have any plans coming up that were affected by the quarantine, or anything that we should be looking forward to if this all passes?
Yeah, well, we had a tour booked in March for the East Coast. We had a little East Coast run down to Florida and back up, you know, some of those states, South Carolina, I think, Nashville, and then Jersey, and Brooklyn, of course. So that was all, you know, postponed. Really, I think it's going to be in September now. There's some new dates up on the website. You can follow up with that if you bought tickets already for that tour. I'm sure they will be usable for the new shows. And yeah, we had some other stuff in the summer. I'm not sure. I think we're still kind of waiting to see. I know the Australia stuff, I think it was announced that as well is being moved. We had that. in May. And also the Whiskey in Los Angeles, we were going to play there again May 25th. That's getting moved as well to the fall. So yeah, everything's just kind of getting pushed back, unfortunately. But I'm sure everything will reopen at some point. You know, it's just a momentary thing right now. That's what I try to tell myself, that it will be over at some point, and we can get back to our, like, press play again on our life. You know, like, I feel like I just hit pause on my life and I can't do anything. Like, I'm in this weird limbo state and just waiting to press play again and get back out there. So just wishing everybody a very safe and you know, healthy spring and summer, whatever happens. Just be safe out there, and just, what can I say? You know, is waiting for this to blow over.
Very well said. And I love the analogy of hitting play, because that's what it is, especially when you're a musician. It's like, you know what I mean? It's fucking bummer. But let's stay positive. And before we go, I ask all my guests this question. Hopefully we will get out of the quarantine, but let's just pretend you're stuck for a while. What are the 5 records that you're stuck with, and why?
Oh, in quarantine, 5 records. Probably, let's see. Well, I gotta go with my girl, Imogen Heap. I love her album, Sparks. So that's probably gonna be one.
Okay. That's Imogen Heap, for everybody that missed that. Yep. Imogen, I think it's pronounced Imogen. I could be Imogen Heap. I don't know, maybe, depending on where you're from. So that would be number 1. Let's think about this. This is a tough one, actually, because there's so many albums that I would want to listen to. Yeah.
I always loved Science by Incubus. That's like one of my favorite records too. So I might press play on that one. Let's see. Probably one that, like, no one would expect. I'm gonna go with The Weeknd, actually.
Okay.
Which record is it? It's, oh shit, I actually can't remember the name of the record of but one of the Weeknd records. I'm a Weeknd fan. I think he's fucking awesome. So throw one in there that probably was like a rando. No one would expect me to say. That's 3. Let's go with Chaos AD by Sepultura. I mean, number 4.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. Number 5. Let's do Faith No More, King for a Day.
I like that choice because it's not a common one. I mean, all the records are good, but that's an interesting pick that you you went with that album. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, guys. You got Faith No More, King for a Day, Imogen Heap, The Weeknd, Incubus, Science, and what was the other one that I was missing?
I'm sorry, I just totally zoned out. Can you repeat that?
Blank. That was Imogen
Heap. Totally zoned out. Which one did you leave out?
No.
Imogen Heap.
It was Imogen Heap, The Weeknd.
The Weeknd, Incubus, Science, Chaos AD by Sepultura, and King for a Day for Faith No More. Yeah.
Boom. Sepultura, Chaos AD. That's what's up. Well, I want to thank you for doing this. I love that we got to entertain people during the quarantine. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. And if anybody missed the first half, you can go on YouTube and subscribe to my channel, Chris Enriquez, and this episode, along with the other 20 plus episodes, will be available. And Veronica, I'll tell you this, there's some other special plans that I can't get into, but I think that we might be doing something with all these interviews later on to document everything. I don't know if it'll be a fanzine or a book or something, but we're going to get it all transcribed.
That's great. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So,
I'm enjoying some of these comments here.
Puerto Rico's in the house.
Puerto Rico's in the house. What time is it in Puerto Rico right now? What time
Let's
is
see.
it?
Yo, X, Rafix, IDS, what time is it in Puerto Rico? Well, yo, Confines World, we got the owner of St. Vitus in the house. Wepa,
Hey,
what's up, baby?
what's going on? Can't wait to
Chilling,
see
man.
the door.
And I
Thank
should
you.
point out that St. Vitus is owned by many Long Islanders, old school Long Islanders, so we keep it real. All right. Do you have any final comments for anybody?
Do I have or do they have?
No. Do you have any final? I know you had a couple last few words, but is there any last comments you want to mention before? Well, let's do your socials. Let's drop your socials.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm sure you have my Instagram handle up there, Spirals88. On Facebook, Veronica Bellino. I am on Twitter. I don't really use it that much, but I am on Twitter at Veronica Bellino. And I mentioned before my side band is DMC and the Hellraisers. That's with DMC of Run DMC, of course. So that's you can check them out on IG and on Facebook. What else? What else is there? All the internet.
Let's do your YouTube channel is a very important one. Let's drop that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I guess you just I'm so bad with this stuff. You just search my name on YouTube, I guess, or VRock88. That's my like YouTube thing. VRock88. Yeah.
Okay.
But I do most of my stuff I do on Instagram. That's like my most used medium. So
yes,
just follow me there, and you usually can connect to like all my other stuff that I do.
All right.
I'm listening at my house. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I am on LinkedIn. I don't use that much either, but I am on LinkedIn too. MySpace.
All right, Veronica. Before we go, I'm gonna take a screenshot. We're gonna take a photo together.
Okay.
Let me know when you're ready. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Did that work? That worked. Let's.
Comments in the way?
All right.
Do you see all those comments in front of me there, or is that just something that I see?
No,
like
all the comments are there. Can't do anything about the comments.
So maybe I need to move over here, away from the comments.
Okay, let's take one more picture away from the comments.
Okay, one more time.
Okay.
All right, cool.
This is the world that we live in now. Where we have to do this. Okay, Veronica, you stay safe out there and keep everyone posted on what you have going on. We'll be tuning in to your Instagram, and we hope that we can watch lots of drumming videos.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to be doing for the next few weeks, just being home. So check out my drumming videos, and let's stay connected, even though we can't be close. Let's be not close, but be connected rather.
High five. There's a virtual high five coming. All right, yo, I'll see you soon. All right, hopefully. Take care of yourself. Peace.
This is awesome, Chris. Thank you so much for asking me to do this.
Anytime. My pleasure.
Next time we'll be in front of each other with a beer or something, me hanging out.
Hell yeah. We got to do a double drum jam. We got to do that one day.
We should. Yeah, we should do that. It'd be fun.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. All right. Be good.
All right, man. Take care. Have a good night. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining us. Tomorrow night, owner of St. Vitus, Artie Shepard, will be interviewing Jason Black of Hot Water Music. That was rescheduled from last week because we ran into some technical difficulties. And then on Thursday, I will be, that is the new drum. She's been in the band for a while, but that was Veronica, the drummer of Life of Agony. Great drummer, awesome friend. Thursday, I will be interviewing Julie Christmas. And then on Friday, who do we have coming up on Friday? I should know these things. Let me just get back to my calendar. But we got great episodes every week, Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Zola Jesus, one of my favorite artists, will be with us on Friday at 8 o'clock. And over the next few days, we will let you know who else to expect in the coming weeks. Stay safe. Keep listening to heavy music. Treat each other with respect. Don't be an asshole. And take care of yourselves. This has been Chris Enriquez at Chris Enriquez Drums. I play in the band Spotlights. You're watching the St. Vitus web series, Age of Quarantine. Take care. Peace out.